Today, we're diving deep into one of the most influential personal development books of recent years, Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book isn't about overnight success or drastic transformations. Instead, it reveals how tiny, consistent changes, what Clear calls atomic habits, can lead to extraordinary results over time. If you've ever struggled with building good habits, breaking bad ones, or just want to understand the science behind why habits stick, then this video is for you. We'll explore Clear's proven framework for behavior change, practical strategies you can start applying right now, and powerful insights on how your habits shape your identity and ultimately your life. So, whether you're looking to improve your productivity, health, relationships, or any area of your life, stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to build better habits that last.
In the introduction of Atomic Habits, James Clear sets the stage with a powerful idea that small changes, when repeated consistently, lead to remarkable results. He opens with a story of a serious injury he suffered in high school, one that nearly ended his athletic career. But through slow, steady improvements, through tiny, deliberate habits, he not only recovered, but eventually became a top-performing student and athlete. And that's the key message. Real, lasting change doesn't come from huge breakthroughs. It comes from making small improvements, day after day, that compound over time. Clear explains that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just like money grows through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. They may seem insignificant at first, but in the long run, they shape everything: your health, your productivity, your relationships, your identity. He also makes it clear that goals aren't what lead to success. Systems are. Instead of focusing on the end result, Clear wants us to focus on the processes that get us there. It's not about setting a goal to read more, it's about becoming the kind of person who reads every day. Not about running a marathon, but about being the kind of person who never misses a workout. This shift from outcome-based thinking to identity-based habits is at the heart of the book. The introduction ends by promising a framework, a simple yet powerful system based on 4 laws of behavior change, that will help us build good habits and break bad ones. And that's what the rest of the book is all about. Part 1. The Fundamentals: Why Tiny Changes Make a Big Difference. In Part 1, James Clear builds the foundation for the entire book. He helps us understand why small changes, these so-called atomic habits, matter so much, and how they can transform our lives over time. This section has 3 chapters, and each one takes us deeper into how habits actually work. Chapter 1: The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. James Clear starts with a simple but powerful truth: small habits matter more than we think. He explains that habits are like compound interest for self-improvement. Improving by just 1% every day doesn't seem like much, but over time, it leads to massive results. And the same goes for bad habits. 1% worse each day leads to negative outcomes that compound too. Clear uses the metaphor of an ice cube to explain how progress works. You can keep adding degrees to an ice cube at 28, 29, 30 degrees, and nothing happens. But then suddenly, at 32 degrees, it starts to melt. The change was happening all along, but the results weren't visible until a tipping point. The lesson here is, don't give up too soon. Habits take time to show their results, but if you stay consistent, the impact will come. He also draws attention to a key mindset shift. Forget about goals. Focus on systems. Goals are about the results you want. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. It's your systems, your habits, that determine your success, not your goals alone. Chapter 2: How Your Habits Shape Your Identity, and Vice Versa. In this chapter, Clear explains the relationship between habits and identity, and it's one of the most important ideas in the entire book. He introduces 3 levels of behavior change: outcome-based change, what you want to achieve; process-based change, what you do every day; identity-based change, who you believe you are. Most people focus on outcomes. I want to lose weight. Some focus on process. I'll go to the gym every day. But few focus on identity. I am a healthy person. And that's the real secret. If you want lasting change, start by changing the way you see yourself. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. If you write 1 page, you're a writer. If you run 1 mile, you're a runner. It's not about being perfect, it's about casting enough votes for the identity you want until it becomes who you are. Clear flips the usual approach on its head. Instead of saying, I'll change once I hit my goal, he says, change your identity first, and the habits will follow. Chapter 3: How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps. This chapter breaks down the science behind every habit. Clear explains that every habit follows a loop. Cue, the trigger that starts the habit. Craving, the desire behind the habit. Response, the actual behavior. Reward, the benefit you get from doing it. Let's say your phone buzzes. Cue, you feel the urge to check it. Craving, you pick it up. Response, and you see a message you like. Reward. That reward reinforces the behavior, so you're more likely to do it again. This 4-step loop is the foundation of habit formation, and breaking it down helps us understand how to change our habits for good. Clear introduces what he calls the 4 laws of behavior change, which will guide the rest of the book. Make it obvious, so the cue is clear. Make it attractive, so the craving is strong. Make it easy, so the response is simple. Make it satisfying, so the reward reinforces the behavior. He also promises that each of these laws will get its own in-depth treatment in the next sections of the book. Part 1 Recap. So, what do we take away from Part 1? Small habits matter more than we think. Progress is slow at first but compounds over time. Lasting change starts with your identity, not your goals. Every habit follows a pattern, and we can shape that pattern using the 4 laws. This section is all about mindset. It prepares us to take action by helping us understand why habits work, how they form, and what it takes to build real change. Part 2, the first law, make it obvious. Part 2 is all about the first law of behavior change. Make it obvious. James Clear explains that the first step to changing any habit, building a good one or breaking a bad one, is becoming aware of it. You can't change what you don't notice. This section has 4 chapters, and each one gives us tools to redesign our environment and routines so that the cues for good habits become impossible to ignore. Chapter 4: The Man Who Didn't Look Right. Clear opens with a powerful story about a woman who noticed something was off about her father-in-law, even though doctors didn't. Her intuition picked up subtle cues others missed. The point? Our brain is always scanning for cues. It's built to recognize patterns and respond to them automatically. That's how habits begin. This chapter reminds us that most of our habits are so ingrained, we don't even realize they're happening. So if we want to change, we have to bring those habits into the light. Chapter 5: The Best Way to Start a New Habit. Here, Clear introduces one of the most effective habit-building tools: implementation intention. This is the formula. I will, behavior, at time, in location. For example, I will study for 30 minutes at 7 p.m. in my bedroom. By getting specific about when and where a habit will happen, you increase the odds you'll actually do it. He also introduces the idea of habit stacking, attaching a new habit to an existing one. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. This technique works because it uses habits you already do as anchors for new ones. The key is clarity. When a cue is clear, the habit is more likely to happen. Chapter 6: Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. In this chapter, Clear challenges the myth that we need more motivation. Instead, he says, we need better environments. Habits don't just respond to motivation, they respond to cues. And the most powerful cues are the ones we see all around us, every day. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow. Want to eat healthier? Place fruit on the counter, not junk food. Want to stop scrolling your phone? Keep it in another room. Clear's advice: design your environment to make good habits obvious and easy, and bad habits invisible. Chapter 7, The Secret to Self-Control. Here, Clear brings it all together with a strong message. Self-control is overrated. The most disciplined people aren't fighting temptation all the time, they're avoiding it. They design their lives so they don't need to rely on willpower. They remove the cues for bad habits. They make the good ones easy to see. Want to stop eating chips? Don't keep them in the house. Want to reduce screen time? Delete the apps that pull you in. The secret to self-control, Clear says, isn't white-knuckling through cravings. It's removing the cues before they trigger the habit. Part 2 Recap. So what's the big idea behind the first law? Make it obvious. Every habit begins with a cue, something that triggers your brain to start the behavior. The more visible and specific your cues are, the more consistent your habits will be. Use tools like implementation intentions and habit stacking to create strong cues. Don't rely on motivation, shape your environment to support your goals. And finally, the best way to have more self-control is to never need it in the first place. Remove the temptation at the source. Clear sets us up perfectly for the next section, where he'll show how to go from noticing a habit cue to actually wanting to act on it. Part 3. The second law, make it attractive. If Part 2 was about noticing the cue, Part 3 is about making sure we actually want to act on it. James Clear shows us that habits are driven by cravings, the emotional pull that makes us want to follow through. So if you want to build better habits, you have to make them attractive. This section contains 3 chapters, each one explaining why our brains crave certain behaviors, and how to reshape that craving in our favor. Chapter 8. How to make a habit irresistible. Clear starts with a lesson from behavioral psychology, the concept of temptation bundling. Temptation bundling means pairing something you want to do with something you need to do. For example, I'll only watch Netflix while I'm on the treadmill. I'll only check social media after I write 500 words. This way, the less appealing habit borrows some of the attraction from something you enjoy. You're making the habit more appealing, without relying on willpower. Clear also introduces the role of dopamine, the brain chemical that drives desire. Interestingly, dopamine spikes before we get the reward, in anticipation of it. That means it's the craving, not the actual reward, that drives our habits. So, the more appealing you can make the cue and the craving, the more likely the habit will stick. Chapter 9. The role of family and friends in shaping your habits. In this chapter, Clear dives into the social dimension of habits. We don't just copy what works, we copy what's accepted by our tribe. He explains that we are deeply influenced by the close, our family and friends. The many, the norms of our community. The powerful, people we admire and want to be like. That means, if you want to change your habits, surround yourself with people who already live the way you want to. Want to read more? Join a book club. Want to work out consistently? Get around fitness-minded people. We adopt the behaviors of those around us, often without even realizing it. So the lesson here, join groups where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. Chapter 10. How to find and fix the causes of your bad habits. This chapter is about understanding the deeper reasons behind bad habits, and reversing the craving they create. Clear reminds us that every bad habit solves a problem, just not always in the healthiest way. If you bite your nails, maybe it relieves stress. If you scroll endlessly on your phone, maybe you're avoiding boredom or loneliness. To change the habit, you need to identify the real need behind it, and then find a healthier way to satisfy that same need. Clear also suggests reframing your habits to make them more attractive. Don't say, "I have to work out." Say, "I get to move my body and feel stronger." This subtle shift changes your mindset. When a habit feels like a benefit, not a burden, you're more likely to repeat it. Part 3 Recap. So what's the takeaway from the second law? Make it attractive. Every habit is powered by a craving, and cravings are influenced by what we associate with pleasure. Use temptation bundling to make good habits more enjoyable. Surround yourself with people whose habits you want to mirror. And finally, understand the real reason behind your bad habits, and reframe your mindset so that good habits feel rewarding, not forced. With this second law, Clear helps us create habits we want to do, not just habits we know we should do. Up next, we'll go from wanting to doing, with the third law, make it easy. Part 4, the third law, make it easy. This section is where James Clear explains a huge truth about habits. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. And the way to stay consistent? Make your habits easy to start and repeat. The third law of behavior change is make it easy. Let's break this part down chapter by chapter. Chapter 11, walk slowly, but never backward. Clear starts with a myth-busting message. We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. He compares habit building to casting votes for the type of person you want to become. Each time you repeat a habit, you're reinforcing your identity, even if the habit is small. That means starting is more important than optimizing. Don't worry about doing it perfectly, just do it. He calls this the 2-minute rule, which we'll talk about more in the next chapter. His message is simple. Focus on action. Focus on showing up. Chapter 12, the law of least effort. Here, Clear introduces a key idea from behavioral science. Human behavior follows the path of least resistance. We're wired to choose the easier option. So if you want to build better habits, you need to make them as easy as possible to start. Want to practice guitar? Keep it on a stand in the middle of the room. Want to drink more water? Fill a bottle and place it on your desk. Want to eat healthier? Prep meals in advance so they're ready when you're hungry. The easier the habit is to begin, the more likely you are to follow through. Clear's advice: redesign your environment so the right behavior becomes the default behavior. Chapter 13, how to stop procrastinating by using the 2-minute rule. This is one of the most powerful tools in the entire book. The 2-minute rule. It goes like this. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. The point isn't to get results immediately. The point is to make it easy enough that you can't say no. So instead of saying, I'll run 5 miles, say, I'll put on my running shoes. Instead of, I'll write a full article, say, I'll write 1 sentence. These small actions act as a gateway to bigger behavior. Once you start, you're more likely to continue. Motion leads to momentum. This chapter emphasizes that habit formation is a gateway, not a finish line. Chapter 14, how to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. Here, Clear shows us how to take things even further, by automating habits. One of the best ways to build a habit is to remove decision-making entirely. The fewer choices you have to make, the more consistent you'll be. He offers tools like commitment devices, things you set up in advance to lock in good behavior. Like scheduling a workout with a friend, so you're less likely to cancel. One-time choices, like setting up automatic savings or deleting apps. Technology leverage, like smart plugs that turn off your TV automatically at bedtime. His advice: use technology and structure to make good habits inevitable and bad habits nearly impossible. Part 4 recap. So, what's the core idea behind the third law? Make it easy. Don't aim for perfect execution, aim for consistent repetition. Reduce friction so the desired habit becomes the easiest option. Start with small steps using the 2-minute rule. Use automation and systems to lock in good behavior and remove temptation. James Clear says it best. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. When you make good habits easy, they become inevitable. Part 5, the fourth law, make it satisfying. So far, we've learned how to make habits obvious, attractive, and easy, but if we want them to stick for the long haul, there's one more crucial step. They have to feel good. Right away. James Clear explains that what is immediately rewarded is repeated, and what is immediately punished is avoided. This is the core of the fourth law. Make it satisfying. This part has 4 chapters, each digging into why rewards matter, and how to use them wisely to build habits that last. Chapter 15, the cardinal rule of behavior change. The main idea here is simple. The ending of a habit, how it makes us feel, reinforces whether we'll do it again. Bad habits often feel good now but hurt later. Good habits often feel hard now but pay off later. So the key to sticking with good habits is to bring the future rewards into the present, by making the habit satisfying right after you do it. For example, give yourself a small treat after a workout. Use a habit tracker to see your progress. Celebrate even small wins. Clear calls this the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Chapter 16. How to stick with good habits every day. Here, Clear introduces one of the most effective tools in the book. Habit tracking. A simple way to make a habit satisfying is to mark your success, like putting an X on a calendar each day you complete the habit. This visual cue creates a satisfying feeling of momentum. It's like giving your brain a small reward. Yes, I did it again. It also helps build the identity you want. You're no longer someone who's trying to work out. You're someone who does work out. Clear warns about one thing though. Never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit, in the wrong direction. Chapter 17. How an accountability partner can change everything. This chapter explores the power of social rewards. When someone else sees your behavior, especially someone you respect, it becomes more motivating to stay on track. Clear suggests using accountability partners, public commitments, or even habit contracts, where there's a consequence if you break your habit. For example, you could agree with a friend that if you miss a workout, you owe them $10. The social pressure, or potential loss, makes the habit stick. When habits are not only satisfying but also visible and reinforced by others, they become harder to break. Chapter 18. The truth about talent, when genes matter and when they don't. This final chapter of the section zooms out a bit. Clear acknowledges that while habits are powerful, not all habits are equally easy for everyone. We all have different strengths, personalities, and inclinations. So his advice is this. Lightbulb: build habits that align with your natural talents. Find the version of a habit that best suits you. Love competition? Find a sport or activity that channels that. Prefer quiet and reflection? Choose habits that fit that energy. When a habit fits who you are, it becomes more satisfying. And when something feels good, we want to keep doing it. Part 5 Recap. So what's the big takeaway from the fourth law? Make it satisfying. Good habits must feel rewarding, right away, or we won't stick with them. Use habit tracking to make progress visible and satisfying. Add accountability to create social motivation and consequence. Align habits with your natural strengths to increase enjoyment. And most importantly, make it feel good now, so you'll want to do it again tomorrow. Clear ends this part by reminding us. If a behavior feels good, we repeat it. If it feels bad, we avoid it. So make the right habits feel good now, and they'll carry you far. Final section, Advanced Tactics. How to go from being merely good to being truly great. After learning how to build good habits and break bad ones using the 4 laws, James Clear closes the book with powerful strategies to take everything to the next level. This final part is about fine-tuning and pushing past plateaus, the point where most people stop. It's where you learn how to master your habits, rather than just build them. There are 4 chapters in this section, and they're all about mindset, identity, and long-term success. Chapter 19, The Goldilocks Rule. How to stay motivated in life and work. Clear introduces something called the Goldilocks Rule. It's the idea that humans stay most motivated when a task is not too hard, not too easy, but just challenging enough to keep us engaged. If a habit becomes too boring, we quit. If it's too difficult, we avoid it. The sweet spot is right on the edge of our ability, where we're being pushed, but not overwhelmed. So if you want to stay consistent long-term, don't just repeat the same thing over and over, increase the challenge gradually. That's how you grow. He also reminds us, mastery comes from falling in love with boredom. Even the best performers feel bored sometimes, but they show up anyway. Chapter 20: The Downside of Creating Good Habits. This chapter adds a powerful caution. Sometimes, when a habit becomes automatic, we stop paying attention. We go on autopilot and stop improving. The downside of habits is that they can make us less mindful over time. To combat this, Clear suggests reflection and review. Every so often, step back and ask, is this habit still serving me? Am I getting better or just going through the motions? Improvement doesn't come from doing the same thing forever. It comes from intentional refinement. Chapter 21: How to Review Your Habits and Make Adjustments. Clear offers a simple but powerful tool, the annual review. Once a year, or even more frequently, take time to reflect. What worked? What didn't? What are you proud of? What needs to change? This is where habits turn into systems of growth. You're not just reacting anymore, you're designing your path forward. And even though this sounds simple, few people do it consistently. But those who do, improve faster and with more purpose. Chapter 22: How to Make Your Habits Work for You, Not Against You. In the final chapter, Clear ties everything back to identity, the foundation of the entire book. Remember, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Your habits are not about achieving goals. They're about becoming someone new, gradually, consistently, day by day. He urges us to stop thinking in terms of results, and instead focus on identity change. Don't aim to read 30 books. Aim to become a reader. Don't just try to lose weight. Become a healthy person. This is what makes habits truly powerful. They shape who you are. Final section recap: Advanced Tactics. Stay motivated with the Goldilocks rule: not too easy, not too hard. Don't let habits become mindless. Check in, reflect, and refine. Do a regular habit review to make sure you're still growing. And always build your habits around the person you want to become. James Clear ends with a powerful truth. Small habits don't just add up. They compound. And in the long run, your daily choices become your destiny.
And that brings us to the end of our full summary of this New York Times bestseller, Atomic Habits by James Clear. If there's one message to take away from this book, it's this: small habits, when repeated consistently, lead to massive results over time. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just start with one small change, one tiny habit, and keep showing up. Every action is a vote for the person you want to become. So build systems, not just goals. Focus on identity, not just outcomes. And remember, your habits are shaping your future, whether you notice them or not. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, share it with someone who's working on building better habits, and don't forget to subscribe for more insightful book summaries like this one. Let us know in the comments, what habit are you starting today?